NBA draft had a lot of glitz and glamour. You know, the outfits were interesting. Trae Young rocking the short suit. Wendell Carter said his look was inspired by the movie Black Panther. Marvin Bagley had a cool picture of himself in the jacket lining. Everybody in Brooklyn seemed like they were having fun, except for Knick fans. But you get the feeling that one day we'll look back on this draft with a more critical lens. It feels like everybody drafted where they're drafted was a good draft pick, and that's not going to be the case. TV analysts kept everything positive, but in reality, it's hard to project with these players because most of the top 10 was composed of teenagers. In fact, you had two, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Kevin Knox. They're just 18. So they're still growing, still maturing. And if you're trying to handicap your own 18 or 19-year-old son, it'd be pretty hard to project that to see how they would do just in regular life, as opposed to you're going to the NBA to play with grown men and you're going to make a couple $1 million a year to start out. So very few finished products last night. There was a lot of height, and there was a lot of athleticism, sharpshooters, wingspan galore. Plenty of bold fashion choices. Hopefully your favorite team came away from this year's draft with a player whose game is as good as his outfit. I did see a story in USA Today that talked about sort of the demise of the big man is greatly overrated, greatly exaggerated. 5 of the first 7 selections were players 6'10 or taller, magnifying the need to have a versatile big man who can defend multiple positions and score inside and out. With the number 1 overall pick, Phoenix selected DeAndre Ayton. He's 7'1", spent 1 season at Arizona. Sacramento taking 6'11" power forward Marvin Bagley III at number 2, and on and on. Mo Bamba in there as well. Well, it's not how tall you are, it's what you do with your height. What kind of game do you have? Kevin Durant's 7 feet tall. Dirk Nowitzki is 7 feet tall. But it's what you do with your height. So you can have big men on the floor, but they're not the typical big men. Dwight Howard would still be a relevant piece if he was playing in a different generation. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we're looking at Dwight Howard at the tail end of his career, and somebody's going, man, that guy can still play, average 16 and 12. But in today's NBA, he's a role player. His next job is going to be as a role player. But it's fascinating to think about that possibility. And there have been some speculation that maybe he can end up with the Golden State Warriors or the Boston Celtics. But as far as giving out grades with last night, I told you I need 5 years to assess a draft pick. Not 3 like we do with the NFL. But if you're saying, hey, who did you like initially with just who they drafted and what you think they're going to do? Well, I mentioned yesterday, I wouldn't have been surprised if Dallas went up and got Doncic because of he could be the heir apparent to Dirk Nowitzki. And you have Mark Cuban, who understands we've been irrelevant. You know, Dennis Smith Jr. is a nice player. Dirk's going to come back one more year. I get Doncic in there with Dirk. Okay, you know, maybe he can help him out and he can be the next, 10 or 15-year guy that we want on this roster. As far as the top of the draft, I think Phoenix did well. I really do. Atlanta did well. And this is just projecting out there. Remember Trae Young was slipping? He didn't slip that far. He was out of the lottery. Michael Porter, I get it. It's a back injury. And if you're not sharing all the information with me, and I think there are varying reports that maybe his side, his agent, wasn't sharing all the medicals with everybody. But at one point, and I want to ask Doug Gottlieb this, at what point do you say he's worth the risk? Is 14 worth the risk? Is 7, is 8, is 9 not worth it, but 14 is? And it's Denver. The Knick fans wanted him. But the Knick fans have no idea what they're doing. They're clueless. Hey, you got Kevin Knox. Boo. Okay. You don't even know. You probably had no idea who Kevin Knox was. You booed Porzingis. All right. But I looked at Porter and I go, okay, what is he, right now? What was he a year ago? And at 14, if you're Denver, okay, you take a shot. But if you look at previous drafts here, let's say in the last 5 years, there are a lot of guys who are good, bordering on great, who have been taken in that 10 to 16, 17 slot. A lot of really good players. It's not a place where you can go, let's just try it, roll the dice on this. And Denver is a team that came close to making the playoffs. And that's a good team. Now, if he's able to play, then Denver makes the playoffs. I really believe that. I think Denver is on the cusp of making the playoffs. So you're trying to handicap this, and it's really hard to do at 18, 19 years of age.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.